Hi, and welcome to the Online Course Creator Show. It's Lou here, and I am so excited to be back on the podcast for 2026. I took some time off from the show at the end of last year to focus on other projects. I've really missed chatting to you guys, so here I am. And today we're getting back into things and kicking off with a guest interview. So I'll be chatting to holistic business coach Danni Vee on a topic that I think needs to have a lot more attention, especially if you want to succeed online in 2026. But firstly, I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro to who Danni is and what she's here to share. So Danni Vee is a powerhouse mentor, international best-selling author, award-winning businesswoman, and host of the Danni Vee Show. She is known as the go-to coach for business owners and leaders who are done with surface-level success and are ready to step into their fullest potential. Danni is also a course creator with scalable products in her own business. We do touch on this in the interview, so she's going to be sharing her story as well. Now, I met Danni last year when we were in a group coaching program together, and we instantly hit it off. Since then, we've had some deep chats, and all I can say is she is the real deal. Now, this conversation on here today matters. I know that you all love the strategy episodes, the really tactical episodes, where I give you the step-by-step and you can go away and action something straight away. But this episode is different. What we're discussing today actually makes a bigger difference in the long term because things change fast in the online world, perhaps now faster than ever. Trends come and go, but at the end of the day, it's you with you every step of the way. You're the one running the business. You're the one who is constantly being called to step up and do the brave things. It's you who has to deal with all of the challenges, the wins that can bring their own challenges, the doubts, the fears, and ultimately deal with your bank account, whether that's high or low. So working on yourself, if you want to succeed online, is a non-negotiable, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So tune in for this interview with Danni Vee. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Online Course Creator Show. Today we are diving more into the mindset side of things, and I've invited a special guest on the show, Danni Vee, to talk all about showing up bigger, leadership, mindset, all of that amazing stuff. So welcome to the show, Danni. Yeah, and you've got your own mastermind. Have you had other products? Have you done launching for a while? Yeah. Yeah, cool. So do you want to jump in and give a little brief intro to what you do and actually how you came to be doing what you're doing as well?
Just a few years ago, into running a women's health and wellness business. So when I fell pregnant with my first baby, I wanted to change my entire life. All the mums out there, you probably completely understand that. I had a complete change of identity. And so I started up a women's health and wellness business. And that's really where I started the membership framework, because I started out just like $10 boot camps, and I did 12-week memberships, and then I ended up creating a whole membership portal and everything during COVID. So that's where my membership started. And during that time, I studied my NLP and got my master's in NLP. Started studying neuroscience and leadership, and it just kind of morphed and changed into working with corporate leaders, like high executive leaders, and then also business owners and entrepreneurs.
Wow, that's so interesting. So was your health and wellness business, what was that? Was that like fitness focused or like what was the niche?
So it started out just literally as $10 boot camps, and I was still running the piano teaching business. And I really found that the women that were coming to me needed work with their mindset. So that's when I went and studied NLP with that as well. And it started bringing in nutrition. So I do have my qualifications in nutrition as well, and bringing in that entire holistic view of, wellness. And so then when COVID hit, we all had to go online. So I rapidly created the membership online. We used to run all of our boot camps live, and they would just come and join me in Zoom. And then when we did come back to being able to be face-to-face, I found that because my target market was mums, I still ran all of my classes live, because if they couldn't get out of the house, they could still do the class with us live and still have a conversation with me. And then in that portal, there was nutrition and mindset support as well.
Yeah. I think with COVID, if there's any group of people that actually, it was just kind of normal life staying at home, it would be mums.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing much really changed. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. And did you find that your membership really took off when COVID hit?
Yeah, it really did. It just thrived and built so strong because I had the two different options as well. So when COVID did just dissipate, I can't even say the word properly today, it really showed that the people wanted to have that online connection as well, because, then they aren't being pressured to have to be in a place at a certain time. So the membership really helped with that. And then they could do more. So then they had unlimited classes. So there was weeks and weeks and weeks of classes that they could do extra classes if they wanted to.
I really wanted to speak today about like the mindset piece of launching, because it's huge. It is absolutely massive. So many people struggle to just even get that first launch done, and I see a lot of planning, over-planning, a lot of procrastination, and a lot of it comes down to fear, I think. Have you, why is this? Why are people over-preparing, over-planning, but never actually going through, or finding it very, very difficult to kind of step up into something that they've never done before?
I think, you can have all the strategy in the world, but if you haven't worked on your mindset, you're not going to be able to continue with that strategy. And, you and I were speaking previously about, you might be really successful in a launch, but if you haven't done the mindset work, you're not going to continue being really successful, because something's going to fall down. And I think it's because of there's three major fears that I see in clients that don't get to the success that they want. And that's fear of being seen. It's the fear of actually not being taken seriously as well. So they fear being made fun of in a way, and especially in the Australian culture, that's that tall poppy syndrome. So they've got that fear of seen and being taken seriously because it's literally built into our DNA. And then also the fear of success. And that's a big one, because people are worried about what's going to happen with the relationships that they have, what's going to happen with, the community that they're in. Are they going to judge them? Are they going to lose them if they're really successful? So I find that they're the three major parts of not launching at all, or launching and burning out, because you're so busy people pleasing that you burn out as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, me too.
I had a massive burnout. Like, if the people that were listening to this podcast will know about this, but huge burnout from having a marketing agency back in about 2017, 18-ish is when it really kicked in, and people pleasing was the biggest realization and one of the hugest things I worked through in order to actually recover from burnout. So
yeah, and it's so huge, and especially when you run a service-based business too, Lou, is that you so desperately want to help people, and because it's innate to you, and that's really great, and that's why your business can be successful. But you also need to then work on your mind to make sure that you're doing it from a place of service to support, not to please. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it's very, like, that's what I was doing. I was over delivering, like, out of scope, but I just wanted them to succeed so much, and I wanted them to almost succeed more than they themselves wanted to succeed. I think that's a very, like, it's an invisible line, especially with coaching as well and providing services. And this is one of the reasons why I actually love courses and that kind of thing, because you don't really have to worry about this so much. But with coaching, it's like you very much have to know what's theirs and what's yours, and not let yourself get pulled into all of their stuff as well, which I think a lot of people listening to this will resonate with as well.
Setting those personal boundaries and having that self-leadership. And, you know, I have a leadership framework. It's in body, energetics, mindset, body, ownership, direction, and you. So you can't get to you, that authentic you, until you work through the other 4 parts, you know, the rest of the framework. And ownership is radical responsibility. And so radical responsibility is for yourself, not for others. So are you taking responsibility of where you are right now? It's not anybody else's fault. It's not anybody else's problem. And that can be extremely confronting because, you know, I've been through this myself where, you know, you sort of sit in that victim safe, oh, look at that girl over there. She's doing so well. Why am I not doing so well? I've done all the courses she's done. And, you know, the stories that we tell each other. However, or tell ourselves, however, she's done the mindset work as well. So that girl over there is more successful because she's running her own lane. She's not even looking at you. She's really taking radical responsibility for her own lessons and learning from them and just growing through that. So yeah, radical responsibility and self-leadership is essential for really great success, and especially in a launch so you don't burn out.
Oh my God, I feel like that's a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
I actually realised that just a couple of weeks ago with a few things that I've been doing, and I'm like, how did I fall back into that? Because it's so easy to go back into it, and you can actually very unconsciously do that as well.
Absolutely.
Like that thought of, you know, it's easier for them than me, I've got it harder than them, that kind of thing. How do you suggest someone moves through that? Like, I think just probably awareness is huge for that.
Yeah.
Right?
So as soon as you're aware of it, like being really aware of the stories that you're telling yourself. So if you can hear a repeated thought in your mind, becoming aware of that is really important, because if you're not aware of it, you're not going to know. So one of my favorite behavioral psychologists is Carl Jung. And one of his quotes is, until you make your unconscious conscious, you're going to walk around and call it fate. And so, you know, you're making your unconscious conscious if you become aware of that story. So one of the stories for me, for example, and why I'm so passionate about supporting women in this is that I had such a fear of being seen, because I just found it easier to shrink myself down and let everybody else have the spotlight on them. But then the story, I didn't know it was a fear of being seen. The story I was telling myself is, I'm never invited into rooms that I want to be in. You know, I never get asked to be on stage, and just like crazy. It sounds so crazy to me now, but they were stories that I was telling myself. And until I did the work of actually becoming aware of that and recognizing myself repeatedly saying that, you can't shift it. And then the reason why becoming aware of it is that you actually teach your brain to look for that. So the science behind it all is there's the RAS, which is at the prefrontal cortex of your brain, and it's the reticular activating system is the RAS, and you're teaching your brain to look for those things. So for me, I was continuously saying, I'm not invited into that room. I'm not accepted into, you know, this community or whatever it was. And so my brain would be like, oh, okay, that's what she wants. So I'm going to look for evidence for that.
Oh my God, yeah.
So then if you look for the opposite, so if you look for, I'm going to really put all my effort into this launch. I'm going to get the data and make sure I can see the improvements from last time. You know, and then your brain starts looking, okay, what's the data? What do I need to do to improve from last time? What shifts and changes do I need to do to get a better result? And, you know, I think the statistics are, some of the big American coaches talk about, you know, it's the 7th or 8th time that they have a really, really, you know, profound, successful launch. So be patient as well. Don't expect it all in your first launch.
Yes, because another thing that I see a lot is people launching once, and I mean, I always say your first launch is really just testing the offer, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just seeing if there's demand for it or not. And sometimes there is, which is amazing. And sometimes there's not. And that's just feedback, really. It's just data. What I see so often is, and I think it's because in a launching situation, emotions like really ramp up.
So much.
And, you know, like I can tell people, hey, look, let's look at your data and find out where the gaps are, and we can improve anything, even if it's success. But, you know, even more so if it didn't go so well, we can take that and make it actually work by using that data. But so many people are like, they can't even look at the data because they're so in their emotions around it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What do you suggest, like in a launch, when someone is is being led by their emotions, which I think is kind of natural as well, but how would you coach someone through that?
One of my coaches said to me, and there's 3 different levels, but something that really struck me, and this is when you have done the work. So if you haven't done the work, this probably won't work for you, but it's like, it's not that deep, Danni. She said to me. And it was just this light bulb moment. It's actually not that deep. It's a launch. And it helped me step out of my emotions and step like into that data and understand that. For the people that are really in deep with the emotions, and this is going back to my first launch and understanding how I felt when I was going through that, it's like I was just saying before, become aware of those repeated emotions that are coming up for you, and then just write it down. I am feeling whatever it is. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, I am feeling overwhelmed, instead of saying I am overwhelmed. Because if you're saying I am overwhelmed, it's saying that that's who you are. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's a separation of who you are, if that makes sense. So changing that language will actually change the way that you behave. And so that would probably be the second and the most important. Changing that language will change your entire life, and you can use that in every situation, not just launching. And then the third thing, that if you don't know how to become aware of your emotions and you don't know how to become aware of your thoughts, is actually just find somebody that can support you through it. So can you find a coach that is understanding of what those emotions are, of what that mindset is, and trusting in the process with that coach?
Yeah, I don't think I could have launched the first time without a coach, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I've done many launches by myself since then. But yeah, that first one, I definitely think I needed that coach to get me through it.
Yeah.
Just because you need someone to talk you off the ledge sometimes and actually talk some common sense into you.
Yeah, and that's the observer. So if you're really in it and you can't become the observer, because when you do train your brain, you can become the observer. Like you said, you do it now yourself, so you would have that ability to become the observer. So you say, sometimes I fall back into those emotions, but then you realize. So the observer in you says, oh, Lou, you're doing it again. Get yourself out of it. But if you don't know, if you don't have the tools, you don't know what you don't know. So having a coach to be that observer and say, hey, this is what I'm noticing. Is this what's happening for you, or what's happening for you right now?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about the fear of being successful.
Mm-hmm.
How does this show up? Like, because it's pretty difficult to identify. I think I've got a fear of being successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not something that, I mean, it's against common sense. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what are the little things that show up? Like, I guess one of them would be fear of losing friends and family support or something like that if you are like too successful. So what are some other ways that you've seen it come up with people?
People shrinking down. So shrinking down and not showing their full capacity of what they can do. I see that when people are fearing of being successful, they shrink themselves down so they aren't as successful. Also, the thoughts that can be running through your mind is that, if I'm successful, people are going to want more from me. So, people are going to be asking me for money, or people are going to be asking for connections, that type of thing. So they don't let people actually know how successful they are as well. Other behaviors what I've seen in people that are they have that fear of success is that they don't show up. So they might be doing really well. They're showing up. They're doing the launch process. They're doing all the things. And then all of a sudden that block will come and they'll just go away from being on social media. They'll go away from their email marketing because they can feel that success coming. So they cut it off and don't let it happen. So that's another really huge behavior of fear of success. And it can be hand in hand with fear of failure. So you can actually have both, which is, like you said, it sounds crazy, but it actually can be, you're fearing of failure because you don't want to fail yourself. The fear of success is, what are people going to say about me? So there's that, like, what are people going to think about me if I'm successful? Will people actually still like me if I'm successful? They might be running a story for themselves that, when people are successful, they change who they are. So that's a big one as well. And, it's all in that, really, in Australia, that tall poppy syndrome. If I'm successful, people are going to pull me down.
Yeah, just as you're saying this, it kind of makes me think of, like, it's a scarcity mindset popping up, right? Like, you said, if I become successful, then people might ask me for money or they might not want to help me. Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, scarcity and judgment. And I guess that kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Like, you're fearing of being judged of the people who you are surrounding yourself with now. What are they going to say if I'm successful? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to think that I'm different? Because when you are growing as a person, your circles change. The people that you surround yourself with will change because it's just, that's the way of the universe, isn't it? And so that fear of losing who they have now is so huge that they want to just keep themselves small subconsciously. They don't know they're doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you were to know that you were doing it, how would you step out of that?
So I would, again, just first of all, becoming aware of that fear of success and then doing that, like stepping into that self-leadership, stepping into that radical responsibility and knowing, oh, okay, I'm actually not showing up. I'm doing that thing. I'm going to just make myself show up for like 1 minute. I'm just going to put a story up on Instagram. I'm going to send one short 2-sentence email out just to change the narrative, to change the habit. And then you're retraining your brain to do something different. So you come up to that block and then you're like, oh, okay, I can see that this is what's happening. I'm going to change what I do when this comes.
So it's like recognizing the block and then taking like a little micro action to
grabbing
kind of push the block back a little bit.
Yeah, changing the habit. It's like really recreating the narrative that you've got around success.
I love that. What would you say to someone, and this is specific, and we were talking about this just before we started recording actually, something I see quite often is people, they have the strategy, like they've bought one of my courses, or I've even had some one-on-one clients to do this, to be honest, but not very many, because in one-on-one you can't really get away with this.
Yeah.
But not like having all of the information at their fingertips, putting the plan in place, but yet still not doing the first launch. Like the fear of it is outweighing the possibilities, I guess. And there's always thoughts like, I've got to do this first, I've got to do that first. And one of those is I have to have a bigger audience or something like that. Or it's not the right time of year or something like that. But then 2 months later, or whenever that issue is solved, they're still not doing it. Like they're finding another block. What's going on there?
Oh, it could be many things that are going on when you're procrastinating. Procrastination is often a sign of, not being enough. So, I don't have enough. I don't know enough. That sort of enough, the whole thing about enough, like just how you were saying, I don't have enough audience. I don't have enough time, whatever it is. So it's like a real not enough belief. So to overcome that also is to really think about, okay, well, how can I shift and change this narrative? I sound like a broken record, but this is exactly how you do it. So hopefully your audience is
People are
listening and
getting
they're
the
like, okay, I need to change the narrative. But if you're procrastinating, you're not going to be successful either, are you? If you're what are you waiting for? Why don't you just go out there and do the thing? And in business and in life, if you make a mistake, it's actually great because you're going to learn. The billionaires of the world have made incredibly large mistakes, and it wasn't until they made those incredibly large mistakes until they started being successful. So the sooner you start making those mistakes, the bigger lessons you're going to learn and the more successful you're going to become. If you wait and wait and wait, no action means no results.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women, like, we are programmed, I guess, in a lot of ways to be perfectionists and high achievers and the good girl and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then to, I guess, potentially do something and fail at it is so against how we've been told to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, you've just got to do it, right?
Yeah, and really knowing what your vision, mission, and values are, like your personal vision and mission and values are. So, not focusing outwardly on my business, because your business is another entity. That's another story for another podcast. So it's got its own nervous system. Yeah. So, thinking about internally, what are my values? And what does success look like to me? So for me, for example, success to me actually means to have more of a freedom lifestyle, to be able to, earn the money that I can take my family on holidays and I can be more present with my family. And at times that radical responsibility means that I don't actually have that because I have to do the work. Because, I also am not a magician, so I can't just wave my magic wand and everything is just done. So having those systems and processes in place. So if they're working with someone like you and they're learning to have those strategies, they're learning about those systems and they've got it all there, if they're not launching, well, what part of their mindset do they need to work on? Do they need to go and speak to somebody about their mindset to get that growth within them and not be afraid of that investment either? I know, throughout my whole career, I've invested so much money in that because I know that it gives me growth in my business and more understanding of what that vision, mission, and values is. Because the more you know yourself, the easier it is to know where you're going and, why you're procrastinating. If you know yourself, you're like, oh, I'm not doing that because of whatever that might be.
Yeah, I love that. I have to say, I have had tons of coaches. So I've been in business for 12 years and I have spent, you would not believe how much I've spent on coaching. And I would say that the ones that really stick out to me are the ones that have helped me the most, are the ones that are either fully mindset based or some kind of somatic or something like that, or a mix of business and that. But the actual just straight up business stuff, it's been useful, but it hasn't had a lasting impact. I think like you were saying about if mindset is an issue, if you're continuing to procrastinate, then it's definitely not a waste of money to go and look at that deeper with a coach, with a specialist.
Absolutely not. And you're going to thrive because of it. And everything else that you've learned is just going to make so much more clarity when your mind is clear and you're more clear of who you are as well. Because sometimes
so you said that you do hypnotherapy. Do you do hypnotherapy?
Yeah. So I've got my master's in and NLP and leadership.
Yeah. I've found hypnotherapy to be one of the best things I've done for myself.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that you can teach yourself as well. So, if you step into that, you can actually self-hypnotize, which is just brilliant, that you can put yourself into that state and be able to move through certain parts of your life hypnotized. And we are actually walking around hypnotized when you think about it, because 94% of our mind is unconscious. So you think that tiny little bit of our brain we're consciously working, and the rest is all the beliefs and the stories and the values that are walking around in your unconscious mind. So you're actually behaving on such an unconscious level anyway. And like I said, until you make those unconscious behaviors conscious, you're just going to continue doing it.
You're on autopilot, really. It's like driving home in the car and then wondering,
you're like, how did I get there?
How you got
Did I go through a red light?
Yeah, that's the weirdest feeling, but it's so similar to how we, like, especially when I think working from home, like most people doing online courses and stuff are working from home, it's very easy to get very set in our ways and not even notice what we're doing half the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like even breaking a pattern can help, right?
Yeah, it will. It definitely 100% will if you break the pattern. And then also having like systems in place when you're working at home. So if you're in launch mode and you're working from home, maybe go out into a cafe and write those emails in the sequence of your launch pattern, like go into a different place and say, okay, I'm working. If you're a business owner, you're still working. It's still your career. So create the structure and the boundaries around that. Okay, I'm going to do from 9 till 3, I'm going to write those emails. And then have your 20, work in 20 minutes, have a quick break, 20 minutes so you can keep your brain alive as well. But, really creating that structure and boundaries around your launch as well will give you a clearer mindset.
And that's where, because like you, freedom is like one of my biggest values. And there's so much freedom that comes as a result of having systems and having the time set to actually do deep focus work and actually do work that you're avoiding, because on the other side of that is the freedom that you want.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And like we were talking about that self-leadership, having that self-leadership to build those systems and build those strategies so that it will bring the freedom. And I think sometimes, I found that, there's not many, but a few people that I have worked with, they want the freedom now because they see their coaches with that freedom lifestyle. Yeah. However, the coach has done the work. The coach has taken radical responsibility to learn the lessons and create those systems and processes. And you have a fast ticket pass with that coach if you have the correct mindset.
Yeah, and usually they've spent years building what they've got.
Yes.
Yeah. Like it's not an overnight thing for sure.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I just love the concept of self-leadership. Like I think leadership gets talked about a lot in the entrepreneurial circles, which is great because obviously if we're coaching people, if we're teaching people inside courses, then we are leading people as well. But I think self-leadership is really where it's at.
And self-leadership is really that the 3 really levels of that is having self-respect for yourself. Because if you don't have self-respect, people are not going to deeply respect you because they'll be able to pick up that energy. It's loving yourself enough to really lead yourself in the way that you want to show up. So being that person you want to be right now. And then also having that self-acceptance. So this is where I am right now and that's okay. And that's that really stepping into that self-leadership. It's okay where I am right now. I'm working towards being, my future self. I actually had a conversation today with another podcast actually, and we were talking about the fake it till you make it, because I'm very anti fake it till you make it, very very anti fake it till you make it, because I believe that you can start being your future self now, but that's when you know your vision, mission and values of your internal self, so you can start being her now, but don't fake it till you make it, because you're going to continue to fake it. And then you're going to wear that mask. And this is what you're talking about. Like you wear that mask all the way to success. And then you get to success and you're like, who am I? I've been faking this person. I don't even know who she is anymore. And then you have to start doing that work there. So be who you want to be in the future now, but don't fake it. It's a big, it's really interesting.
It's so interesting as well what you said about self-acceptance and self-love. Like I feel like that's a really big part of it, because there's absolutely no benefit that comes from beating yourself up for not having done something yet, or, like not having a great day and not being productive enough or anything like that. Yeah. Because nothing comes from like that bad self-talk. How would you shift out of that if you were noticing that you were constantly kind of berating yourself?
Oh, absolutely. The mean girl, the bitch in your head. She's very, very apparent in most female minds, and it is a lot of work. If you've been doing it for a really long time, it is a lot of work to really shift and change that narrative. If you find that, I guess, for example, for a mom, so I've got 3 children And so, I can plan out my day, especially when it's school holidays. However, it might shift and change because, you're a mum and life can be challenging. So then being okay with just setting out 3 really easy tasks to get done in that day. And if you get those 3 really easy tasks done, you feel like you're accomplished. And that can be just as simple as I will listen to one of the modules in Lou's course. You listen to that module, great. And it could be, I'll make my bed. So make it really simple. I got up, I made my bed. And then the third one could be, I showed up on social media with whatever the strategy is. So 3 really simple things. If you get that done, that's amazing. And then if you get more done, it's a bonus. However, if it ends up being that you only get to listen to Lou's course, celebrate that because you got to listen to Lou's course, but then you also put Band-Aids on a child all day long, or you had to cook 5,000 meals because everyone was hungry all the time. So you still have that success in a different area of your life. So really thinking about, okay, I only got this one task done in my business, but what else did I do? If you slept, was that what your body was telling you? Are you actually getting that good at listening to what your body needs that you just slept and rested, so tomorrow is going to be even better?
Yeah, it's not all about how productive you can be in
No,
your business.
no, because you can be so much more productive by doing less.
And also you can hire help, like you can outsource or delegate things as well, and that can be a massive win, and things can be going really well in your business while you're putting Band-Aids on your kids.
Yeah, exactly. And then also you can outsource, you can put through your whole family life and your business life and do the things, like it can be 3 lists, things you hate doing, things that, you like doing, but you don't really care if you don't do it, and things you love doing, so you might actually love vacuuming the floors. So that's something that some people might.
I had a friend that actually did that. Every time I went to visit her, she was vacuuming, and she just loved it every day.
Loved it. See, she must have had a Dyson or something.
Yeah, she did. And that was like a long time ago, so she had a fancy vacuum.
Yeah. Everybody loves a Dyson that loves vacuuming. But then you could vacuum, but then you might hate cleaning the bathroom. So your investment could be a cleaner to come in and clean your bathroom. So then you're not spending time doing that. And during that time, you could be writing an email. You might hate writing your emails. Well, then if you are really strategized in the people that you hire, you can either find somebody that's created a course that will just give you the emails and you just plug them in, or you go and hire somebody and have that strategy of hiring the correct person, though, because I have done a lot of research in hiring the correct person. And, that's something that I have in my mastermind is I teach my women how to hire people that will reflect well with them. So that's really important. Yeah, really important.
That's interesting. I've never really heard anyone kind of position it like that. So what would you look for when you're looking for someone to outsource to?
So depending on your personality. So, what you are really great. So what your zone of genius is, that's what you hold on to. And then you think about your personality. So I work with human design and DISC, extended DISC. So human design is, another form of behavioral analysis, but it's down to your DNA. And then DISC, everybody in the corporate land and business land knows what extended DISC is. And so that's another behavioral analysis. So for me, for example, for extended DISC, I'm an IS. So I really need to find somebody that is C and a D, so someone that's direct. So that someone that will fill those parts of my business that I don't have. So the D person, which is a direct person that's really focused and driven and has that that structure. Because I'm an I and I'm just like, woo, that's like I'm a true entrepreneur. It's to have somebody come into my business that will, okay, these are the systems that you need, and this is the structure that you need, and so then I'll follow it because my S part of me really likes to follow that structure as well. So that type of thing, like reflecting what you can't do in your business. Because if you go and hire someone just like you, so if I go and hired another I person, we would just be off with the fairies the whole time, coming up with ideas. And I have done that in the past. So that's why I've created this.
You probably
this
vibe with them as well.
Yeah, I'd really vibe with them. And, and I'd hire them and I'm like, oh my goodness, you're going to be so good in this role because, but they weren't. They were hopeless because they couldn't do it as much as I couldn't do it. So really being strategic on who you bring into your business and the work that they do is so important. And I'm big on astrology as well. So you can actually set dates throughout your year for launching. So we do that at the beginning of every year for my girls, so that they can set launch dates through their stars and their astrology. Yeah. I think that would be really magic for you too.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not so much on top of astrology at all. Like I only just realised probably about 6 months ago that I'm a Capricorn rising because I just thought I was a Libra everything. Like I didn't even know there was a rising or anything like that until like 6 months ago. So very, not all over the astrology side, but I feel like it would be so good as well for launching.
Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand with human design. It's very powerful, very, very powerful when you know it and understand it and know the dates and everything that can support you for launch.
Yeah, cool. I love that. Thanks so much, Danni. I've really loved chatting with you today. I think that what you've shared is like so powerful around like how to actually be more courageous and step up and do the thing that you're scared of doing.
Yeah.
Which is in this case launching. What's something that you've learned from your own launching that if you were to give one piece of advice from your own launching experiences, what would it be?
So be consistent. So take that radical responsibility. Be consistent and trust in the process. So if you can really, you teach your brain, if you're consistent, that you can do it. So if you're showing up every day for your launch, you're showing your brain that you can do it. And then also celebrating certain milestones. So, if you're working with someone like Lou, she would be able to show you data along the way. So, then she can say, okay, we want to get to this point of the data at this point of the launch. And then stop and celebrate that. Because then you're celebrating how far you've come and it's teaching your mind and your nervous system that, we can keep on going. So definitely consistency, celebrations, and just take that radical responsibility.
Love that. I especially love the bit about consistency is like through that you're teaching yourself that you're capable of it. So huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's my biggest lesson. Just show up, Danni.
And it's not about, like we were talking about before, like your first launch is just checking if your product's got a demand for it, really. So the stakes aren't that high. They're not as high as our brain is making us think.
Yeah, just be perfectly imperfect.
I love that. Thank you so much, Danni. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you further?
Oh, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram, Danni Vee Coach, also on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn, Danni Vee. My website's dannivee.com, so DANNIVEE.com. And I would love to hear your greatest takeaway from this beautiful podcast with Lou and what you're going to be doing as you step into your launch.
Thanks again. I will share all of those links that Danni just shared in the show notes. So jump over there to connect with her and look at her website, see what she's got going on. Thanks again for coming, Danni, and to all of those listening. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thanks, course creators and go-getters. You're incredible, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. If you'd like to find out more about what I offer, head across to loublakely.com. See you next time.